Hello, I'm Frankie, and this is part two. In the last podcast episode, I talked about getting rescued from the mountains. Well, part two is I got dropped off at a park that was had a lot going on. Hi, y'all, I'm Frankie. I'm a nomadic adventurer, spending most of my time living in my mini camper van, following what I call the Joy Route, which is also the name of my YouTube channel. I'm a houseless and zip codeless, not unhoused or addicted. There is a difference between a houseless person and an unhoused person. People are unhoused, or you may call them homeless, for many reasons. It can be due to not being able to afford housing, addiction, mental illness, things that are not necessarily in their control. My situation is within my control. I work online creating and selling digital content. Up until recently, I had my dream tiny home that I was planning to move into for a few years. Additionally, I have a large and supportive family. In my family, it's not uncommon for family members to live with one another. Stack up, live together, whether it's to get back on their feet or to share expenses. Even if I could not afford my own sticks and bricks place, I have a number of options I could utilize. During a recent trip, like I said, yeah, I got lost up in the San Bernardino mountains. Not really lost, but I got up so high that I had a panic attack, and I'm scared of heights. And before I realized, like I said, I had gone too high. And so I had to call 911. 911 came, rescue me. Somebody drove my vehicle, and I rode in a fire truck. Well, they kept asking me what my address was, where I live, where I'm unhoused. I'm houseless and zip codeless, so I didn't have an address. So what they did was they dropped my van off to a park. The fire truck dropped me off. The person that was driving my van, dropped it off at this park, and the fire truck dropped me off there. So anyway, as I got to the park, I looked around, and at first it looked like a normal park. But when they dropped me off, like, I was discombobulated because I had been through like this panic attack, so I had to get my bearings. Well, I met a woman, and I think she was like in her 60s or 70s, y'all. She looked like Lena Horne. She was so pretty. And she was dressed in these clean white pants and a floral summer shirt with her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. And this gonna matter in a minute. We struck up a conversation, and the first thing she did was point out a pile of food nearby, saying, "There's food over there." And as I looked, I saw like dry fruit items, chips, and possibly cereal. Observing the park, I noticed a group of tents to the far right, followed by a few more on the left side. I inquired about the tents, and the woman informed me that she had recently purchased a small tent to join her friends. I wasn't getting it, y'all. I wasn't getting what was going on. She told me that the city was planning to make the occupants move on Monday. I thought this woman was like a homeless or unhoused advocate. As she talked to me, I continued to survey my surroundings. There was this white man who pulled up as if he was returning from work. He wore a polo shirt, khaki pants. He disappeared momentarily, and then he returned to his car. So feeling tired, I returned to my van and fell asleep. Although the park and its going ons were starting to look shady, the lady, who I believe was a homeless advocate, and her dog were there. So I felt okay taking a nap. When I woke up, I noticed the same man in the same polo shirt, the same khakis. He had returned. He came and went a few times, leaving me curious about his activities. Later, I spotted the black lady whom I observed, the one that looked like Lena Horne. The one who I talked to earlier. She was sitting at the table with an Hispanic man. And earlier she had been sitting at the table with a white couple, well, sitting in some lawn chairs. I approached her. She mentioned she had been telling the Hispanic man about me. Like, hey, this lady, she's new to the park. And since my van had an Ohio license plate, the people living in the park, they was understandably curious about an unfamiliar vehicle. As I observed the situation, I noticed that a Hispanic man, his eyes was glazed, and the black woman had a pack of cigarettes in her open purse. Her dog, who she said was 2 years old and pregnant, was walling around, staying next to her, and he smelled my shoes. And y'all know I have a fear of dogs. "Do you live here?" I asked the woman. "No," she said. "Don't you remember I told you I live in the mountains where they rescue you from? I have a home. I ran a business and had around 60 security employees," she volunteered. She looked like somebody who might have run a business or still does. I asked if I could stay there overnight and will I be safe? Yes, she said. They locked the park gate so you wouldn't be able to leave, but you could stay and you would be fine. Just then, a black man pulled up in a pickup truck and asked the lady, "Where is Mo?" He seemed upset. The lady pointed to one of the tents. The man parked his truck hurriedly. Like I said, he jumped out and he headed in the direction of Mo. Mo was in trouble. When I turned back around, the woman whom I had mistaken for a homeless advocate, she had her head down under the table, her dog water under the table, and I assumed she was feeding her dog something. I got back into my van, but I continued to watch the woman and survey the park, trying to decide if I would stay overnight. Next, a Hispanic man with glazed eyes put his head under the table. Then it occurred to me, they were doing drugs. They were smoking something. Damn, those ambulance people brought me to a homeless drug addict park is what I was thinking. Maybe because I was still coming down from my panic attack, and also because I lived in my van for so long. When I go to a beautiful park and it's nice, I focus on nature, birds chirping, not necessarily people. But you know what? After I seen what was going on, I politely backed my van out of the park. And since the lady had her head back under the table, I didn't wave goodbye to her. My only thought was to get out of the park before they locked the gate. So on my travel app, I read that you could park at a Del Taco, but you had to ask like the manager. I went through the drive-through, bought something, then asked the young lady if I could park overnight because I was from out of town. She said, "Yeah, we're open 24 hours. You'll be fine." And although the taco place was located between a liquor store and a burger joint, I was like, I should be good. I dozed off at the park. Well, not at the park. Since I had dozed off at the park, I figured I could stay up most of the night at the Del Taco and leave during the daylight. I guess the firefighters brought me to the park, assuming I was one of them. I'm not. I don't use illegal drugs. I'm not in a house because I don't have a choice. And I would never judge someone for being homeless, mentally ill, or even addicted. I'm not better than them. I'm just different. I choose my lifestyle, and I don't use street drugs. My drugs come from nature, which keeps me on a natural high. And oh yeah, from a doctor and a dispensary. I'm just saying. I told you I'm not better, just different. I can see why the firefighters and medical personnel who were professional and friendly probably assumed that what my situation is. Consider they live in their comfortable houses with comfortable jobs, albeit stressful. So I can see why they assumed that about me. But anyway, I pursued $1 million views, and you should too. The Joy Route is all about living my life as best I can on my best terms, taking life 1 mile, 1 minute, one cup of black coffee at a time. I love meeting interesting people, trying interesting foods. I have so many friends from this channel and just from life that unfortunately I haven't been the best about keeping up with. And on this channel, I'm not like right now, I'm reading the comments, but I'm not responding because I'm trying to keep putting out content. And I find that when I try to put out content and respond and read comments, I kind of get off track. So what I'll do is over the weekend, I'll respond and read all the comments. I know that's not a good thing as far as the algorithm, but hey, it's what I can do right now. So I want to encourage you all to keep taking that joy route no matter what you do. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Take the route.